Merry Christmas from Eastown. I don't know about you, but this is one of my favorite times of the year.
Yeah, it's mine too. And I know Christmas is gonna look a little bit different for all of us, but we still believe it's an incredible time to celebrate.
I can't believe this, but we're getting ready to move into our 3rd year of existence. And one of the traditions that we have is a year-end generosity initiative. And this year we're titling it, Make It Count.
Yeah, as we look back at 2020, I know that there's many people that wish it never happened the way that it did. Many of us that wish we could just rush to the end of the year and hope that 2021 is very different. But we don't want to rush through this as we go into Christmas and then a new year ahead of us. We want to still make this year count.
Yeah, one of the things, maybe you're new to Eastown, you've been watching us for a month, or maybe you've been part of Eastown for 2 years. One of the things that we always talk about is that the church should change the landscape in the community in which it exists. And so we knew if we're gonna do that or we're gonna make an impact, we had to partner with local organizations that are doing exactly that. So we gotta sit down right here and listen to some of their stories. Watch this.
I'm KATHERYN FIREMAN, and I'm the principal at Meadow Homes Elementary School in Concord. I lead the school of about 850 students. The majority of our students are of immigrant families. 90% of our families, their students receive free and reduced lunch, which means if their income is below a certain number. We really are seeing more deeply into our students' lives at home. We thought we knew how hard their lives could be at home, but being able to see them each in their squares, we really have a sense of the challenges that many of them are facing. I think of a 2nd grade boy at my school who fortunately his teacher was really in tune with him and noticed that he just wasn't looking right and participating the way he normally had. And so she checked in with him after class on Zoom, and he mentioned that his mom was really sick, which meant that she couldn't go clean houses, which is her job. And therefore, because she wasn't feeling well, she wasn't able to come pick up the food that we've been providing for many of our families. So we were able to arrange a way to drop off the food for them for a few weeks to make sure that they were getting what they needed. And it strikes me that that family isn't alone. We have many families, hopefully, who aren't sick, but have jobs where they have to go out every day and possibly, put themselves in risk, leave kids at home alone to do their schoolwork because they need to make ends meet. And there's just so much need in our community, and we're working to try to meet those needs, but there's a lot, and there's probably a lot of families that I don't even know that that is their situation. And so we're really trying to keep our ears and eyes open so we can support all the kids and their families.
I'm Vanessa Russell. I'm the founding executive director of Love Never Fails. We started Love Never Fails 10 years, in January will be our 10th year. I was working in tech. I was a single mom at the time, and I wanted to give back. And so I decided I would teach kids dance. And when one of my 15-year-old dance students stopped coming to class, I just thought, oh, she just doesn't, she's not interested anymore. But what I found out is that unfortunately she was being trafficked right here in the Bay Area. And I went into it thinking, I'm just going to solve this, totally A-type. I'm going to get in there, I'm going to work with her. And I became aware very quickly that the trauma that you experience, that especially a child experiences from human trafficking, is one that you don't just get over just because someone comes and says, I got you. There's a lot of restoration, there's a lot of healing that has to happen, and it takes time and it takes investment. I was able to step out on faith because God said all I needed to do was love her. And that's where the name Love Never Fails came from. It's really a declaration that as long as I'm bringing forth the love that each person deserves, I will not fail and they will not fail, and that is the love of Christ. In this fight against human trafficking, one of the things that we're adamant about is rescue is not enough. You need to rescue and restore. And so for us, restoration is going into those deep, dark places, clinically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and helping that person to heal all the way through. That holistic approach is really what we're after. And again, our goal is to, as with Jeremiah 29:11, the Lord tells us, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a hope and a future." And that is what our heart is for each and every person that comes in.
My name is Gabe Garcia. I'm a church planner in the beautiful and diverse city of Oakland, California. Before moving to Oakland, we were kind of living the suburban dream in Santa Clarita, California. But as Carrie and I were praying about what God would be doing in our lives for the future, we kept coming back to wanting to be in a more diverse environment. So May 1st, we packed up our minivan and we landed in Oakland May 1st in the midst of a pandemic in kind of East Oakland. And we've just been rooted there, just building relationships with as many people as possible. You look anywhere in Oakland, there's just great beauty and diversity everywhere. There's $1 million homes, and then there's families that are obviously living in low-income type situations. A lot of people have asked us why another church or why a church startup. We just want to see more and more people experience the hope and the joy that is found in Jesus. And we just felt like it was a unique gift that God had given us, a unique passion that God had given us, to see a diverse church unified around Jesus. And we just felt like we wanted to give ourselves to that journey all in for the rest of our lives. There is no really playbook on how to start a church in the midst of a pandemic. We've just tried to be faithful and walk through every door that God has given us. We're doing something for this Christmas season where we're doing porch portraits. COVID safe, we're gonna go to about 50 homes, take a Christmas portrait for families, and then deliver those photos. We had one mother, a single mother of 8 kids, tell us how hard this season has been for her and her family, and that this photo session is gonna be the thing that kind of lifts their Christmas spirits. So again, we're just excited, even in the midst of a pandemic, to try to find creative ways to serve people and to enter into relationship with folks.
My name is FELIX. I did step into ministry full-time about 6 years ago. I now work for an organization called Young Life, and Young Life is an outreach to many youths from many backgrounds and areas. My particular focus is with youth with special needs, teen and young adults with special needs, and we call that ministry Capernaum. And so for the last 6 years, I have led a rather large Capernaum group in our area where we get anywhere from 25 to 35 kids each week in person. And since we don't meet in person lately, we now do a lot of Zoom and special event activities. Even meeting with Zoom virtually every single day, my phone's probably gonna go off in a second. I'll get a group FaceTime from our friends, some of our Capernaum students, and they just wanna talk. They just wanna hang out. And we are having deeper conversations, more meaningful relationships now in this stressful time of COVID than ever before. And that is one takeaway we get from this trying season. One of the stories we had just this past summer of the impact that we are having just because God's in the mix. But there was an event, again, sponsored by Eastown, but we had a softball event where we had shirts. At the high school where I coach, I had my players along with some teens from Eastown came, and each of our 20-something Capernaum participants who came to play softball that day had a sign made for them, and so we had a cheering squad. We had players with them buddied up on the field, and they played softball for an hour and a half. We barbecued, and it was a great time. My friend Elin has lived her whole life in a wheelchair, and so she was there with her she's got a full-time attendant, and her dog, Butkus. And there's a great photo of her rounding third base, the biggest smile as she's gonna score from home. And it was magical. I mean, just wonderful, because when she crosses home, of course, everyone is celebrating her.
We're just so grateful to be working with Eastown, and it's wonderful. Every couple of weeks, I get a text from Tammy. My text says Tammy Eastown, and she reaches out to see, what else do we need. I look forward to continuing that partnership and just being able to do the best we can for the Meta Homes community.
We as a church startup can live in Oakland, invest in our community, build relationships, share the gospel because of the generosity of others. We have churches, organizations, and individuals that are standing with us and behind us. That's why we're just so thankful for Eastown. They've committed, you all have committed to being with us, supporting us financially. But I would even say beyond the financial support, just knowing that we have a church family in San Ramon that's with us and for us, praying for us and cheering us on, it means so much to me and my family as we see God continue to work through us.
We want to be able to provide services, these rich, art classes. We have to pay an art teacher, domestic violence counselors, and cognitive therapists, and art therapists, and gardening, and, nutrition classes. All of those services that we're bringing in, some of them are pro bono, but some of them, they cost. And they're very reasonable. We negotiate everything to the best of our ability, but it is quite expensive. And so it's because of you and your support to Love Never Fails that we're able to provide services and care that is customized for their trauma and really blesses each person in a very unique way. So.
Wow, that was absolutely incredible to sit and hear those stories. I remember I was sitting down as they were telling those stories, and the overwhelming feeling was, I am so honored to be a part of a partnership like this with organizations like this that are making such a difference here in the East Bay and even globally.
And I think listening to those stories and then looking back at 2020, one thing we know for sure is that there is a lot of hurt and pain in our world. But that is just opportunity for us to realize that we are here to be a part of the solution. And so as we look at Christmas this year, we would love for you to look at Christmas a little bit differently.
So here's what we want you to do. We want you to first and foremost pray. We believe that God wants to speak into this moment. Being his son and his daughter, you have the God-given right to hear his voice. And generosity is at the heart of God, and he wants to speak into this moment with you.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, if you have a family in your home, kids in your home, to bring them into the conversation, to pray together and figure out how God might want to use you in this season.
Maybe for some of you, you've never thought about being generous towards a church. Maybe this is a first for you to take that step of faith, that step of trust when it comes to that. That is incredible, and we love that. We also know that some of you have been partnering with Eastown for 6 months, maybe 2 years, I don't know what it is, but this is a little bit different. This is thinking above and beyond your normal way of giving. This gift, this giving, this generosity allows us to continue to fuel the movement of Eastown. It also allows us to fund our Love Local partners.
And so the easiest way to do this is to go to easttown.church/give. We have all the information there about the many different ways that you can give, whether it's through the app, by check, through company matching, and even through stock gifts. And so we would love for you to visit that page. It's really simple.
Thank you again for your time. We hope that you have a Merry Christmas. God bless.